Today on the channel, we finish up AEW Unrivaled Series 15 as we rank the entire wave from my least favorite to my favorite.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another set rankings. As today we're ranking AEW Unrivaled Series 15 from my least favorite to my favorite. And of course, for your AEW Unrivaled Series 15 needs, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. You got to get a deal out there. You know how that goes. But of course, it is a set rankings video, and just like all the other ones, we're going to rank them. We're going to start with my least favorite. We're going to work my way to my favorite. We got 6 figures here. You got to put them in order. And of course, I'll ask you guys and gals, make sure you put your list in the comments down below. Be interested to hear your thoughts on this wave as a whole. Is this wave a little bit of new blood? We appreciate some new blood, but just kind of feels like a wave that's there, just kind of flowing under the radar a little bit. Maybe it should be a little bit more exciting than it actually is, but some missteps. I guess that's what I'll say. I'll say missteps on a few of these figures here, and we'll talk about that here. And of course, we're going to start the rankings off at number 6. 6 figures, number 6. And my least favorite of the line here, unfortunately, nothing against the guy personally. I don't want him coming after me, of course, but it is Samoa Joe. I'm going to start him at number 6. At the end of the day, it is a very easy repaint. That's really what this is. If you have the Target one, you know what this one's about. Just a different paint color on the tights and trunks is really the only different here. Unfortunately, still the small hands. I just hate those small hands. Just not a lot of meat on the bone for this Samoa Joe, unfortunately. Now, if this was the first Samoa Joe figure we ever got, maybe be a little higher, but it just feels like a retread. Feels like we've been there before. So Samoa Joe is going to come in at number 6 for us right here. Now we're going to turn our attention to number 5. I'm going to go Saraya at number 5, and I think they had a bit of a misstep with this Saraya. The head sculpt just a little bit off. It's close, but not close enough for me. Just feels like this one needed a little bit more work, and I feel like a little bit more work into this one, it would be a really, really good figure. As Saraya, very popular in the female division, especially back when she was Paige, but a nice change of pace when she did enter AEW, especially wrestling, as we did think her career was over. But I feel like they could do a better Saraya figure in the future, and I hope to see that, because this one for me, coming in at number 5, which leads us to number 4. Number 4, I'm going to go Daniel Garcia. Not a ton of meat on the bone on this one right here. He's ready to do those sick dance moves. Watch out for those. We do get a towel. We do get a pure wrestling title from the Ring of Honor. Of course, group fed, whatever you want to call it, which is nice, but it's kind of dressing it up a little bit, and it is a pretty plain Jane figure. You take away the towel, you take away the title belt, what are you left with? A pretty plain Jane thing. He gets a little bit more of a Duke here just because he's a first time in the line, and these accessories really do help propel him to another level, and that level is ahead of Saraya, but it's a thin margin between these two for me. So Daniel Garcia, first time in the line, coming in middle of the pack here at number 4, which brings us down to the final 3. Oh, the final 3. Watch out for those. And number 3, I'm going to go all ego Ethan Page. Of course, NXT superstar right now is Ethan Page. Could have been a little bit better as well. That's kind of the theme of this whole line here. I think they could have done a little bit better, especially in the head scans here. Just a little bit off once again. Not absolutely terrible. I like the extra expression in the finger-pointing hand. You can do this, you can do this, you can do some of this. Do whatever you want with that hand. We did get the Polly Pocket style jacket. A good first Ethan Page, and much like Saraya and maybe even Daniel Garcia, I could see if they have him in the line a little bit longer, we'd get improved versions, constant learning, constant improvement. I could see that happening, but we do know his next stop is probably a Mattel Basic main event, or an elite figure in the future. I think that's where we'll see all ego Ethan Page next as far as this scale of action figure. As we do know next is probably going to be the big rubber guys. Shout out to the big rubber guys. You know me here. I love my guys big, and I love them full of rubber. Get me those big rubber guys all day long. So Ethan Page coming in at number 3, which means there can only be 2 left. 2 interesting ones, and a first time in the line, I guess the Devil, and a first time in the line of a rehash of Chris Jericho from way back in the day. but two figures that are probably the most attention-getting, at least for me, out of this set. And I'm going to have to go number 2. I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go MJF as the Devil at number 2. Chris Jericho, Lionheart Reborn at number 1, and I'll explain myself. The MJF, a very plain Jane figure. Very cool, though. The head, that's where the money is in the figure here, and the poker chip, I guess. I like the expression of the hand going on. That is pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it's just a very brief moment in time. It's kind of a one-off type thing. Kinda, I guess, more than one time, but you know what I mean. A little bit of an homage. Oh, don't start, McFarlane, with the homage of course, the Black Scorpion back in WCW when I was a little kid. Oh, enjoying the Black Scorpion. But it is cool for what it is, just not really setting the worlds on fire to be number 1, but cool for a one-time release right here. This does work for me, and that's where he's going at number 2. Just awfully plain Jane, really, when you get down to it. And Jericho, number 1, I know a lot of people hating on the head sculpt on this one. I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying online of what I've seen from the pictures. I do think it looks better in person. It does remind me of happier times in my wrestling fandom with Chris Jericho. I loved Lionheart Chris Jericho back in WCW, ECW, Japan, AAA, whatever you want to call it. I enjoyed him from his early onset of his career, and it's cool that he's doing the homage once again. He's doing that with this figure. I think that is pretty cool, and I do like this. It just has a nice nostalgia feel to it is what it has there, and it is really cool. Like we did the comparison in the video unboxing of this one where we compared it to the old school Ruthless Aggression Jakks figure. Pretty cool to see, you know, maybe 2 decades in between those figures almost. A pretty cool thing to see, all things considered there. So Jericho, maybe a little controversial at number 1, but that's why it's my list. You guys put your list in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bells. We got videos every single day. And then some. We got even more content for you, of course, over on Patreon. Patreon, best way to support this YouTube channel and all the content. ProWrestlingTees.com. Pick up a t-shirt. Don't forget my book, The Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstars series. Available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And through me, if you want a signed copy and a little cheaper, maybe. Hit me up, of course, on social media. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. _Kyle_Peterson on Threads. And on Instagram. So for Unrivaled Series 15, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.